You ready to talk about books?
Yes.
Um, I was gonna do this one, do this joke for death, but I decided I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna do it for this one. So the other week, right? I was scrolling through threads, and a bunch of people on threads were talking about how people who host podcasts now aren't funny enough to do the banter in the beginning and should just start talking about the topic instantly, because it's dumb to do the banter beforehand, so we're not allowed to do banter anymore. We have to be completely serious. We can't be funny. Um,
I'm physically incapable of not being funny. Um,
I literally, when I saw that, I was in the process of finishing Death, and I was like, dude, there's no way. If for Death, we would have died
we're
hilariously.
physically incapable of not bantering.
Yeah, that's our whole entire friendship. And then I was thinking about that. Like, I felt bad about it for like a solid hour. And then I remembered every podcast I listen to is like, they're actually friends. And so the banter just feels natural and it's nice. And I like the banter in the beginning. One of them, they banter for like a solid 10 minutes and they always get a complaint. And then they continue banter just because they're friends. And so they're just like talking like they're friends. I'm like, that's what I like. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's fun.
So, that's our banter for the beginning of this episode.
Wow.
Thank you. Um,
It's, no, just,
Hello,
spoiler
hi.
alert, I'm already reading the Beyonce part. This shit got me giggling and kicking my feet and screaming and,
I was gonna say. um, Hello, hi, welcome
well, I
to.
think I whimpered at one point. I was like, what the fuck?
Hello, welcome to Fish and Flower Podcast. I'm Flower, aka Rose. I'm trying to think of a fun fact. Oh, I grounded the fish. I grounded Stingray. Because they told
I
me to
love
do.
how you,
They told me to do impromptu 24-hour sprints. So I said, you're grounded, and then they messaged
I
me, what are you
said
gonna do, take away
when.
my phone? Then you can't talk to me. I was like, no, I'm gonna take away your dog and your cat. And now we're not friends anymore, so we can't do banter, actually, because we're not friends.
I love how you only invoke your mother status when it's 24-hour impromptu.
Mm-hmm.
I said when, not then. Like, you didn't have to do it then. I just said when.
Yeah, and I said, no.
Why
I'm
not?
too old for that shit.
No, you're not. Not yet. It's not your birthday. I was thinking it was
I'm
for
flipping
your
off my computer.
birthday.
You can't see me, but I'm flipping off my computer.
Well,
Oh,
I have a kitty cat. You don't, so.
that's accurate. I'm sad.
She's trying to play with my chain. I wanted. I was looking at it to fix it, but I can't see the fucking things to fix it. So.
Mm. Also, I'm eating a clementine right now. So.
And you're not sharing?
Nope.
Wow.
Um, it's very
Would you
bitter.
peel it once for me, Bestie?
Do your intro.
That's a genuine question.
Do your intro.
You wouldn't peel an orange for me? It's official. Rose doesn't love me. Podcast over.
This is now just the or not the fish to flower podcast.
What? You're not even the funny one. Can you hear this nonsense?
I just choked on clementine juice. Oh my god.
You hear this nonsense, kitty cat? Oh, so that's to fight me. Oh my god. Why is everybody ganging up on me? Anyways, my name is Fish, aka Stingray, and I just think this is ridiculous.
That's it.
That's it!
That's it. Okay. This is a Cerebral Conscious podcast, very similar to how we talk to each other on a daily basis. On today's episode, we have. I almost said the first episode of February. That is a lie. It is fake dates and mooncakes. I would like
Sorry,
to
we
know.
have two fake dating books this month.
I know, right? I love that. It's almost like I know us or something.
There would have been three, but
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, this is fake dating.
hell
But
yeah.
also, so it's gay fake dating, and then also on top of it, it also has racism. Anyways, this is a perfect time to bring up the content warnings.
Sure.
We have Death of Parent. It's almost like
Ooh, how do you feel about
classism
that one?
grief. I would like everyone to know two of the books I've read so far in February have had a very important aspect of parent death, classism, and grief, as well as racism. Both of them. I don't know what's going on with me, but I almost cried at the end of both of them. I barely stopped myself with this one. So
Well,
there's also alcoholism, cancer, car accidents, dementia, and racism. So
well, the only book I've read this month is New Moon. So grief, toxic relationships,
that's so
racism.
funny. Oh my god.
Listen, New Moon never not hits. Like I choked up
What
too
did I
many times.
even rate New Moon? I don't know.
3.5.
Oh, thank you for telling me. Maybe I should finish that series.
Yeah. Oh, you only have Free Tanner and Breaking Dawn left, right?
Mhm.
Breaking Dawn
I
is
wasn't
thicker
gonna
than
do Free Tanner, but then you told me to because you said I would like it. So
I liked it, and I think it's
I mean, you seem
important
to
to the
understand my
story.
taste well enough. So
Well, I think it's important to the story.
uh-huh. All
I'm
right.
just excited for the Jacob's POV. I can't lie.
Okay. I would like you to
I
know the
miss it.
synopsis of this book says Heartstopper meets crazy rich agents. And someone here is obsessed with Heartstopper. I don't know about you. I've never watched or read Crazy Rich Asians, but
Neither have I, but I get it.
Bestie has seen it and really likes it. She also lived in Singapore for a bit. And the main character's family is from Singapore. So listen, a lot of the background context that I know, is just from Bestie. And we love that for me.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
we all know you're not ever going there, so you gotta get information somehow.
It's because I don't leave my house. So this book is about Dylan. I would like everyone to know I'm doing this off the dome. I'm going off the dome. I just finished this book like 30 minutes ago. I took a break to grab a clementine and pet my dogs.
How to wrap a casket. Anyway.
So Dylan's family is from Singapore. His mother died within the past year from cancer. Before she was diagnosed, they made a plan to join this competition, this mooncakes competition, right? Together, and so he decides that he wants to do it anyways, with his aunt for her memory. But also, if they win, there's like this whole thing where you get a shout out like a local restaurant or of some kind, right? And it just happens that the person who he lives with now, because his dad lives in Singapore again, doesn't talk to him, all this stuff, is his aunt, who's like, was very close with his mother, like they were really, really close, and her two kids, so it's the four of them living in a 2-bedroom above her takeout restaurant of, authentic Singaporean food, right? And so he also works there part-time while also going to school. Good times. Right? And so they're in money troubles. And so, part of it is that if he wins, he wants to shout out his aunt's business so that, it can get the popularity it deserves, and, like, maybe they can, like, actually survive, because there's, like, a thing where, like, they're behind on rent and threats of being evicted and all this stuff. Right? So the book starts, and he's working at the restaurant. He usually works in the kitchen, but one of the...
Can you pause for 2 seconds?
Uh-huh.
Mooncakes look so beautiful and delicious, and I want to try one day, but also they scare me.
Dude,
that's all I'm saying.
Spoiler, the book ends with the mooncakes competition. And dude, the craving for mooncakes right now is very strong.
I've never even had one.
Me neither, but they look so delicious and they sound so good. And
they probably are delicious. I don't know. I know, like, traditionally they have, like, red bean paste, but I don't know how I feel about that. But maybe one of the non-traditional flavors, I'd probably eat it right up, you know?
Damn, they look so pretty, too. Okay,
I know.
Why did you send me an Instagram video of how to wrap a casket.
I told you I just seen it, and I was just like, you know what? I think that's a little weird, personally, wrapping a casket, but go off, I guess.
I'm just gonna move on from that. So Dylan's working in the kitchen. That's normally where he works. His younger cousin, who's like 10, I believe, right? Does like works up front, takes in orders and whatnot, and then Dylan and his aunt work in the kitchen aspect, and I forget what his other cousin, who's I think a year older, maybe a year younger. They're only a year difference, right? I forget what she does specifically, but they have two takeout drivers, and one of them is out because he fell off a ladder. Makes sense. The other one gets a flat tire, so basically they give Dylan all the food and he takes his bike and bikes to all the places. Also, I'm pretty sure this takes place in California, so he's sweating to death, right? When he gets to the last place, which is like a penthouse and all this stuff.
It's
so he
not
takes
California.
Bitch, I don't know.
It's New York.
Oh, you're right. Yes. I think in Brooklyn on the synopsis. Uh-huh.
I was like, California. Hold on. Pause.
I just assume
You
everything's
know what's
on the
going
West
on,
Coast, not the East Coast. I'm sorry.
But it is summer, so it's still hot.
Yes. Right. So, he takes up to the penthouse, and immediately the guy who answered the door, dude, I really have to go into her messages to figure out what this guy's name is, because I was saying, fuck this guy, right?
Adrian?
Adrian?
Yeah.
Alright. I knew it started with an A, and I was like, Adam? But no, that's the love hypothesis. Adrian, answers the door, and he, immediately starts yelling at him for delivering his food. Like, it's been an hour that he's waited, and he starts screaming at him. One...
Oh, don't, it has fucking green onions. Like, oh my god.
Don't yell at the delivery driver, right? Like, hello?
Hear me out. I don't like green onions like that, but I'm not gonna yell if they're in my food.
Yeah. So he immediately, like, as soon as he opens it up, notices there's green onions on top, and he starts screaming that there's green onions. And there's, like, a written thing that there's supposed to be no green onions, but, like, they were behind schedule and whatnot, so they were all freaking out. They accidentally added green onions. And then this guy comes out in his underwear saying, babe, kind of, to Adrian, and he's all like, hey, calm down. This is Theo. Cough, cough. So basically Adrian's like, hey, so I want... Dylan immediately is like, oh, we're sorry. You will get all your money back. Do not worry. And he's all like, no, I want you to give me money for this. Or else I will call my father, who's a lawyer, who will sue you because of food safety stuff. Because I could be, like, allergic to it. And so he literally takes out the, like, $10 he has of tips from his pockets and tries to give them to him. And he's, like, angry and stuff. And Theo's like, dude, calm down. And eventually he gets out of there, goes back to the restaurant. Everyone's like... Uh-huh.
I understand that Adrian and Theo have deep personal lore, but I would dropkick that sort of bitch so fast if I were Theo.
Same.
Like, why are you so friends with him?
Yeah. So basically, he gets back to the restaurant. They're like, wow, what an idiot, what a jerk. That's when Dylan sees the poster for the, Mid-Autumn Festival mooncake competition. So, he takes that, he's all, like, planning to ask his aunt about it, blah, blah, blah. And then he goes and continues to live his life for a bit until, I think, the next day, they're opening up their restaurant, or no, they're not opening up the restaurant, but it's hot out, so, like, they're opening up the doors to get air in, right? And they're starting the process of getting everything ready, when Theo comes in, and he instantly recognizes...
on Monday.
Yeah, he instantly recognizes Theo, and Theo's like, hey, here's $100 tip for what my friend did. Also, Adrian, went onto every review site he could find and came up with some dumb review name and basically gave them a bunch of 1-star reviews on every review site saying that they gave him green onions when he didn't want green onions.
Imagine being that much of an asshole. Like, I
Imagine
cannot
putting
fathom.
so much time and effort into that. Oh my god.
Like, how bitter do you have to be? Like, I'm a bitter bitch, but not like
Same.
that.
I'm petty as fuck, but like, what the hell? So when he brings this up to Theo, Theo's like, "Oh my god, I
Speaking of
tried to make him
being
not.
bitter,
I didn't know he actually did it."
what did,
Like,
what did you rate the book first off?
4
I
stars.
never. Okay, I gave it 4.5. I was like, I can't give it 5 stars only because I'm a bitter bitch.
um. So Theo and him start talking. Basically, we learn pretty quickly that while Theo's father is white and super rich, his mother was from Hong Kong. But he doesn't know much about his Asian roots and whatnot, and so he starts hanging out with him to learn more about it, whatnot. I forget the the female cousin's name. I want to say Helen, but that's not right. I'm 98%
No,
sure.
I don't remember her either.
Bessie, I'm the one who just finished reading this book. How do I not know?
I don't know. She was kind of a weird character for me. Like, I just.
Yeah, she's the type of character who does things for chaos sake. To make
Which is
chaos happen
valid.
in the book, which is like I get it for the purpose of the book, but usually I don't like those characters. I didn't mind her as much as I mind most of the characters like that, but still.
Yeah, no, the characters were really good in this.
I would like to remind you of this very important fact. This is the author's debut.
What? Oh my god! And it's gotten this popular too. That's really nice. That's really nice to see.
Yes, we love it. So, uh, basically, Theo ends up eating some of the dumplings that Dylan made, right? Pays with it with $100 tip. And they poke fun at him for like not knowing different Asian customs, especially Chinese customs. And then afterwards, Dylan like teaches him things like he asks like, how do you actually make soup dumplings? Like, how do you get the soup inside, which is gelatin? The answer is gelatin. I already knew this because I'm obsessed with dumpling making videos and whatnot. So, I make my own dumplings, like chaotic woman I am. I am really bad at the dough though. You can do the dough. I can't do the dough. I don't know why. I'm normally fine with doughs. I can't do dumpling dough though. I never end up right. But I'm good at pan frying them.
Well, I'm good at doing things on the first try when it comes to cooking or baking, and it's really weird. Because like the first time I'll get it right, the second time I'll mess it up, and then it'll be fine again.
I love that for you. So, like, he learns that Theo goes to, like, this rich school and whatnot, and he's all like, I would like to mention, I forgot to bring up this point, but when he initially saw Theo basically naked in the penthouse, in Adrian's penthouse, and he was like,
He was like, "Ooh, pretty boy."
Adrian, he was so confused that Adrian could be so angry when he could be licking, whipped cream off of Theo's abs.
Oh my god, yeah!
That is an actual thing. He thought I was making quesadillas when I listened to that from the audiobook, and I snickered. That was so funny. Anyways, so he's instantly into him. If that's not obvious. Right.
Valid.
But he thinks that him and Adrian are dating, so he's like, okay, nothing can happen here. Talk to this guy for like 5 minutes. Cool, bye. All this stuff. And so, I think it's like, sometime very soon after that, Theo just shows up at where he goes to school.
In a fucking Ferrari.
Yeah, in his rich car. And it's all like, hey, can I steal you for a bit? And his cousin's all like, yeah, 100%.
No. Get him out of here. Kidnap him if you have to.
Yep. So, basically, when they were talking, I don't know, maybe this is when they're talking, and he brings up the fact that, like, they need $5,000. Doesn't bring up the fact that it's for back paying rent, so that, that the landlord will let them set up a new type of payment plan and whatnot, blah 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 blah. So they're talking, they're hanging out. I think this is around the time that Dylan officially mentions that his mom died from cancer, right? And that's why
Yeah,
he wants
no,
to.
they were going to like through like the Chinatown area, and like
Mm-hmm.
eating and stuff like that, and just talking and going through like other things in that area. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yep. And he brings up that's why he wants to do the mooncakes competition because that's he asked about that. And uh, Theo mentions that his mother died when he was young, and she died in a car crash. Some guy was just driving and he had a heart attack, hit her. She was in a coma for a few days, but eventually died. Um, and all this stuff. And so they like connect in that way, right? I get it. I'm a sad bitch too. I get it. Uh, um, right. So Theo learns that they need money. So then he sends in the mail a check saying that I feel like I should mention that Dylan also has a corgi named Grover.
Grover, no, Clover.
I recognized what I said when I said it. Yes, Clover.
If this is not Percy Jackson, there's no goat here, Bestie.
um so he sends them exactly $5,000 in the mail, and the whole thing is that like it's the quote unquote family charity and whatnot, right? But Dylan immediately recognizes the name of this quote unquote family charity uh for small businesses, right, is actually just Clover backwards. And so he's like, bitch, what the fuck? And he's like, you can't, like, pay me off. You can't do this. That's horrible. Like, I don't know who you expect me to be. And so,
I'm upset too. So
yes. And so Theo's like, okay, fine, you can pay me back. My cousins, or something like that, something, uh,
cousin.
in the,
It got a little confusing for me at the wedding because there were just so many
there's
people,
so
and I was
many characters, and it's like all these white people. I'm just like, I'm confused.
I was listening to it like 2% too fast for that section. I was like, who the hell are these people? I just remember the one cousin who had a DWI and got drunk and fell off the pier.
Yeah. So that's the sister of the cousin who's getting married, right? And so he needs someone to go with him because if he doesn't bring a date, then they're gonna try to set him up with all these random men, right? And so he's like, okay, you be my fake date. There's this whole thing where he takes him to get a suit tailored, all this stuff.
At one point, Theo put his hand on Dylan's thigh and that, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna do something so drastic." I was like, "Ah!" I
He's
giggled.
like, oh my god, I think it was like something about a front pleat or something like that, or flat pleat, and he's all like, there won't be anything flat if he doesn't get me off of here soon.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was doing my dishes at that point, and I was like, sir.
I was like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, so Dylan, gets to go to, is it Martha's Vineyard? I don't remember. Some rich white people place with him.
That sounds correct. I don't know.
I don't know. To go to, this wedding. He tells his aunt that it's, for just, like, a family event over the weekend, right? Everyone in the family assumes they're dating now, from his family, from Dylan's family. Right, so they're going, and while
Like,
they're,
imagine starting to see someone that quickly though, and they're like, "Okay, whatever."
yeah, so when they get there, first off, the mother of the bride immediately won't let them in because technically Theo was not invited, even though Theo has an invitation from someone else in the family. Don't remember how they're connected. I think it's like a sister of the bride as well. I don't remember. Um,
I don't.
invited him to be like, hey, you should come. But like literally the mother won't let him in until other people come up are like, hey, oh my god, we're so excited to see you. Like some aunts that he really likes, who are married, who really love him and whatnot, come up are like, oh my god.
I got so excited about that.
I know, right? They're like, oh my god, we're so excited you're here. And so then, he's all like, sadly, I wasn't invited, so I guess we'll just stay at another hotel. And so the mother of the bride is all like, fine, you can stay. I'll give you this room. It's fine. Basically, the whole reason why she doesn't want him to be there is because her and his father, who are siblings, are in a legal battle right now. Because when their parents died, he took over the family business, and she just accepted that. But she recently learned that he was using family business stuff to also do personal business, which is definitely questionable in a lot of
Yeah.
ways. And so she's all like, so she went to like try to claim her rights to her half of the company or something like that. And he was all like, no, no, no. So now they're like having a family feud right now, right? So
Where's
obviously
Steve Harvey when you need him?
yeah, Dylan's obviously freaking out because Theo was invited. Also, didn't need a date. What is happening here? Oh my god. All this stuff. There's also this whole insinuation to get in that Theo knows about someone's drinking issues, right? Um, right. That is the person
Right.
who invited him, the one with the drinking issues. I just realized this. Who is the sister of the bride? She was drunk driving, got a DUI, all this stuff, and then went to rehab for a few months, and whatnot. There's at one point they're hanging out, and some uncle or something shows up who is married to an Indian woman and has a bunch of kids, and just starts assuming that Dylan is Chinese. Well, everyone usually is ignoring Dylan until Theo brings up that Dylan's his boyfriend. Right? And then they're like, oh, you're his boyfriend? Okay. I guess we'll talk to you. And then he's all like, ooh, Chinese. I love Chinese. And then, uh, Theo, like, brings up his mother's, or one of them brings up his aunt's restaurant, right? And this random uncle is all like, oh, I can't eat Asian food because of the MSG and blah, 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 blah. It's totally racist
He's
stuff.
like,
And then also he brings up
took
the
that
fact
shit
that,
down so fast.
yeah, he also brings up the fact that Singapore and China are basically the same thing, so it's fine that he got it wrong.
In what world?
And then Theo
Are they
snaps
even
at him
close
and
to
tells
each
him,
other?
no, and also, this is how you're wrong about the MSG stuff, you idiot. But in a nicer way. And he, quickly is like, anyways, I'm gonna go hang out with my kids now. And the mother of his children, his wife, is just like, yeah, sorry about him.
So the kids are sitting around and being terrible the whole time.
Yeah. Um, So yeah, that's one instance. Another instance is so their bedroom, the way that their bedroom is, of course, there's one bed, right? Is that you can see directly into the bathroom, into the shower at all times from the bedroom. So while one of them is taking the shower, the other person can totally be watching, right? And so when Theo goes to take a shower, Dylan's like, I am going elsewhere immediately.
I'm gonna go take a jog. Like, I'm back.
Yeah.
In 37 business days.
Yeah. So he overhears a bunch of other bridesmaids bring up the fact that, like gossiping, especially this one that gossips a lot, about how the sister of the bride is sober, so like they couldn't drink at the bachelorette party, and how it's such a drag, and how dare she make it so that they have to be sober and all this stuff. You know, dumb people shit, right? And so he's all like, wow, these people are the worst. Goes outside to the docks, and sees Sister of the Bride there drinking. And so he tries to have a conversation with her, and this is where he learns that the groom is her ex-boyfriend. And after the DUI incident, she went to rehab, and when she went to rehab, her boyfriend broke up with her because he said it was too hard for him. She comes out of rehab 2 months later, returns home, and as she's coming home, he's dropping off her sister from their first date.
Yeah, after that happened, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and she didn't want to be part of the bridal party because all of it's so weird and uncomfortable for her, and really not good for her sobriety, as you can tell from her drinking on the docks. But her mother forced her to, because what would people think if she wasn't at one of the bridesmaids and all this stuff? And I'm just like, Good fucking God! Oh my God! And then she
Yeah.
falls into the ocean.
Yeah. But also, could you imagine going to fucking rehab and coming out after your boyfriend broke up with you and he's, like, on a date with your sister? Like, that implies something to
Yeah.
me personally.
Yeah, that's a little gross in my opinion. Just saying.
But
There is
also,
one
I
part
just
where
wanted
when
to look
Dylan
me in
meets.
the eyes and tell me that man didn't have a thing for her sister before they
Oh yeah,
broke
no,
up if they
100%.
got together that quickly.
Yeah, that's 100%. Also, there's like this whole part when Dylan meets the bride. I think it's at the wedding reception or something like that. He's all like, "Oh, they look so similar. I guess it's clear that the groom has a type."
Oh my god.
And I was like, Dylan. I mean, yes, but Dylan. Anyways, she falls in the
He's
ocean,
real. I don't know what to
and
tell
is
you.
drowning. He jumps in after her, manages to get her out. It's a whole situation. Theo drags both of them onto the beach and then gives her CPR until she starts breathing again, and then they rush her to the hospital. And then Theo takes him back to their room and is like freaking out because like he just jumped into the ocean in the middle of the night. In September, I'm pretty sure now.
Yeah, I
In
guess. I don't know.
in New York, I'm pretty sure. So,
It's a little chilly.
I mean, the oceans near here are cold, not in September. Like, even in June, it's chilly, right? So, like, in fall, beginning of fall, yeah, it's gonna be cold as fuck, especially in the middle of the night. So, he takes him back to the room and makes sure he gets in the shower. So, like, literally he's dripping in front of him. That's a fun time.
Yeah.
Take a shower, and then they go to bed. He wakes up in the morning, and Theo's gone for a run. A bunch of people are, like, sending him flowers and
You
taking
forgot a
notes.
key part.
Oh, what?
Am I not? Is it when this happens, right? He gives him a flannel because he's cold. He's
yeah,
so
he gives
cold.
him his flannel because he's cold.
And then they don't. Is that? And then after that's when they cuddle and watch TV. They basically cuddle at least and watch TV. Right? That's when that happens. The flannel is a key later on.
So, he wakes up to a lot of people sending him flowers and thank you notes and all this stuff, right? And he just feels a little uncomfortable about all the popularity now he's getting from this, right? It's time for the wedding. Which is weird that you would still be doing the wedding when the sister of the bride just almost died and had to go to the hospital. And she's part of the bridal party, but, you know, what do I know? What do I know?
What do I know?
Right. So their wedding stuff. The violinist for the walking down the aisle aspect, tripped and hit her head in the bathroom. She's bleeding. She passed out. She's gotta go to the hospital. Why is that included? And so, none of the other members of the orchestra that they have for this wedding, rolling my eyes. I, as a person who loves classical music and would totally do that if I could, is still rolling my eyes. Cannot play the bride's favorite song. But just so happens, Theo knows that's her favorite song, and because of that, knows the song, and also is actually a musician and knows how to play the violin really well. To the point where, like, he was helping, Dylan's younger cousin with his violin earlier.
That's so attractive.
I know, right? So he, gets up and does the song. I'm pretty sure Dylan sits with, the aunts who are lesbians together, you know, the lesbo aunts.
I want to be a lesbo aunt.
I feel that. Right. So there's when Theo comes and sits down with them after, like, everyone walks down the aisle, he, like, sneaks around and sits into his seat right next to Dylan. And Dylan and him start talking, and Theo's like, so what did I miss? And Dylan's like, oh, you missed some guy playing the violin. And he's like, did you like him? Was he hot? And Dylan's like, won't reply. And there's, like, this thing where instead of, throwing rice or ice or any other type of thing, I know my cousin for her wedding had, like, people blowing bubbles, and whatnot. Once, like, the I do's happen, she wants everyone to throw seeds, natural seeds from, like, the area, on the ground, to pollinate the area right now. So each seed has them, and Theo didn't know this, so he sat on the packet of seeds. And so Dale's like, yeah, well, your ass is on some seeds. I laughed. It was funny.
Yeah, me too.
It was funny.
I giggled. I giggled, I ha-ha'd.
Yep. So, afterwards, they are just eating some food, like refreshment stuff, because people are bringing around, like hors d'oeuvres and whatnot, snack foods, fancy people snack foods, right? And, instantly, I think it's the sister of the bride, comes up and is all like, oh my god, you have to come, the pictures. And they're like, what? And so she tries to bring them into...
No, this is so ridiculous, because imagine you've only been with your boyfriend seemingly a few weeks, maybe a few months, and then you're fake dating, and then you go to a fucking wedding with him, and then you're brought into the family picture.
I know, right? I once went to the wedding. One of the only weddings I went to in my not adult, but like past 14 years old, right? Is to the wedding of my boyfriend at the time's brother, right? Older brother. And so I went. We had been dating for nearly a year at the point. I did not hang out with the family during family picture time. I just hung out with the rest of the guests. Like a normal fucking person. That's what happens. I'm pretty sure it's something about the fact that he saved the sister of the bride the life, and so everyone's like, oh my god, you're part of the family, right?
Still.
But she brings them over, and Theo's like, oh, we should not be here for this, because that's gonna make your mom real pissed. And the mom is immediately like, it suddenly cuts chapters as the mother's like, Theo, I can't believe you. And then it's like, instead of like, as they expect her being angry that they're seemingly intruding on their family time and whatnot, it's her being angry that they're not their suitor to like do the family pictures. And he's so surprised. And then they force Dylan to join the photos, all this stuff, right? Okay, so they're eating dinner. They have to, the people who are working the catering, slyly ask them what they want because, and hear me out, they weren't actually real guests, so they don't actually have plain meals. Nice of them for that.
Yeah.
Dylan watches whatever Theo's silverware he uses to eat so that he knows which fancy silverware to use.
Pause! That's about to come up, or it had just come up. The cufflinks.
Oh, yeah! We love the cufflinks. Yeah.
They were $5,000.
Yeah.
And they were sold out, but Theo still managed to get his hands on them.
Yeah, no, someone, yeah, I guess is it the gossip one?
Probably.
No, I think it's the gossip one afterwards. So some other random person, I think it's the weird uncle who was kind of racist wife or something like that, is like, hey, how did you manage to find those cufflinks? I tried to get them, but they were basically immediately sold out. It's because they were only $5,000 where they sold out so fast. And both me and Dylan at the same time just be like, $5,000?
Yeah, no, what?
And so then he's freaking out. He's like, "Oh my god, I have $5,000 on my wrist. Please save me." And so
I would pass away. I would just simply pass away.
Right? And so Theo's like, okay, you can't freak out, because if we freak out, people are going to think we're fighting, right? So Dylan immediately comes out. He's like, okay, we're going to go to the room and pretend that we're there doing nasty together of some kind. We're going to, like, make it out or something. And then when we get there, I'll take off the cufflinks and everything will be fine, and they'll just think that we forgot to put the cufflinks back on when we were done making out and whatnot, right? So they do that. After they take off the cufflinks, they do this whole thing where, Theo's all like, now we have to figure out what way would look most believable, and then he messes up Dylan's jacket, and he's like, I pushed you up against the wall when we first entered the room, or something like that. And then
yeah, no, that was insane. I was like, oh my god.
Yep, and then Dylan messes with his bow tie a little bit, and he's all like, you weren't able to put it back together perfectly after I undid it. And I'm just like, oh my god. Okay, so they return to the party after that whole fiasco, right? They always kind of kiss. I feel like someone interrupts them almost kissing, right? So the big gossiper of the family / the bridal party who it was the one that was like, oh my god, I can't believe the sister of the bride is sober, so we couldn't drink for one night. Oh my fucking god, what a bitch. Comes over and she's all like, oh my god, I heard that you guys aren't actually dating and that you paid Dylan $5,000 to be here. And she's like clearly here for gossip, right? This is when they were fighting about
I
the
wonder if
cufflinks
she
thing.
got that in the first place, because someone had to have said something to put that idea in her head.
It's because when they were fighting about the cufflinks, Dylan like hinted at the possibility of that being a thing, right? And so she possibly overheard it, or someone overheard it, brought it up to her, right? So she's like that. Dylan thinks immediately. And he's like, well, yeah, but that's because, like, I really hate it when other people buy things for me. I don't like it. I like to pay for my own things. But, like, none of my stuff would have been good enough for this party. So, Theo was very kind and got me this suit and everything. Right? While he's just stroking Theo's bicep.
I mean, if you're gonna fake Dan, at least fill up some biceps, I guess, right?
And then Theo's, like, putting his hand on, like, Dylan's leg, and also, like, they're purposely putting, like, the way that Dylan's arm is, and pointing it out, basically, that the cufflinks are missing on his wrist to, like, hint at stuff. And then they're like, oh my god, where did the cufflinks go? And Dylan's like, oh, I guess I must have left them on, like bedside table after we did some things in the room. And Dylan's all like, oh, or Theo's like, oh yeah, I totally remember that part.
Oh my god. Yeah.
And she's all like, I guess there's no drama here. I guess I'll leave. And I'm just like, so they're
I would be throwing myself under a table.
Yep. The way they thought about that so fast. And then a slow dance comes on. And apparently Theo really likes the song and he really wants to dance. So him and Dylan dance. And then while they're dancing,
oh my god,
they kiss.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was to an Ed Sheeran song too.
Yep. Anyways, the next day they go home. So,
like, how do we move on from that?
I know, right? All of this was in the newspaper. In, like, the, like, TMZ articles, blah, 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 right? Was one, a picture of them kissing, and two, Theo talking about the whole entire reason why he decided to go to this wedding, despite his, family feuding, especially his father and his aunt, is because, Dylan talked him into, like, actually reconnecting with his family and whatnot. All this stuff. Yay! Good times. Also, I forgot to mention this. One of the days that they're there, they go walking along the beach, and they also go to this, craft fair type thing, and
oh yeah,
Theo buys Dylan a bracelet. Right? Yeah. He also buys himself a bunch of mooncake stuff, right? So, for some reason, Theo isn't replying to, like, any of his messages, and whatnot. He's feeling weird about it. So he's feeling weird about it, but he's just moving on, continuing life, trying to do the mooncake stuff, trying to, like, go to school, trying to work, all this stuff, when there's suddenly an order to Theo's house. He recognized the address.
Yep.
So, it's like they specifically requested that Dylan be the one to deliver it, so he takes it over. And guess who answers? It's Adrian. And Adrian is all like, you really think he's actually into you big dummy? You're a nobody.
I feel like the most important part is to mention the fact that Adrian was wearing the flannel that Theo gave to Dylan to wear after the lake of him falling into the water.
Yep. So, so he's all like, you're just a charity case to him. Oh my god, stop thinking so highly of yourself. And also, if there's green onions on it this time, I will sue the shit out of you. Right? So, I
would like everyone to know that I am in Adrian's waltz. There were so many N's and I's, and oh my god.
Yep. So,
I'm already clicked for all this enunciation.
He, goes home, very sad. He throws everything that, Theo got him into, like, a random box and just, like, hides it. and just goes on with his life, but he's like sad as he's trying to like learn about all this cooking stuff, blah blah blah, for the mooncakes. And then one day Theo shows up for dinner. And everyone's like, oh, yay, Theo, blah, blah, blah. His whole family's like so excited he's there. Even his dog is, all of the stuff. They're hanging out. It's a nice dinner, all the stuff. And then, Dylan just snaps at him, eventually about, cause like, something about ghosting and something about, Adrian. And Theo is immediately very confused. And so everyone, the aunts all like, oh, I suddenly have to clean the stove and also wash the dishes and also do this and also do that. And the kids are also like, yes, so do I. Goodbye.
You're so real. That was so funny. I love it when books do shit like that. It's so funny.
Yeah, the aunt was, I loved her. So, while they are, hey, so they're like talking, they're doing the thing. They're fighting, and Dylan explains that, like, hey, how dare you, like, invite me to your house to bring you food and whatnot, and then you let Adrian answer the door in your clothes, and then he tells me off, like, how dare you, and then Theo's like, I don't know what's happening, I didn't do that, and also, like, you haven't replied to any of my messages, that's why I'm here, and he's all like, what, you really expect me to believe that, Adrian just went to your house on a day when you weren't home, and called up the restaurant and ordered food for you to then tell me off, right? And then you ghosted me? Like, I don't believe that. Like, why would I believe that? And he was like, no, really, that's what happened. I've been trying to message you. Here, look at all these messages I sent you. And I was like, I never got any of these. See, these are all the messages and calls I tried to give you. And then, Theo's all like, wait, this isn't your number? He's like, no, it's not. And then Dylan tries to call him. It doesn't go through. Theo goes through all his blocked numbers, and guess what? On there is Dylan's number. It's a thing where in the past, Adrian has gone into his phone and, like, changed, like, things on his phone before, so they immediately assume Adrian had blocked him on his phone and whatnot.
Once again, why the fuck are they still friends?
I don't know.
I don't care if you're childhood friends. If you're friends with someone this shitty, I need you to get it together.
Yeah. So they.
If you're gonna look me in the eyes, tell me Theo doesn't have other friends. Like,
right? I mean, he plays tennis. Why can't he hang out with his tennis bros? I don't know. So, they immediately go to Adrian's place. Dylan wasn't gonna go with it because he's like, this is like your thing. This is not my thing. And he's like, no, you're coming with it because it's about you too. So they go. And Adrian immediately admits that yes, he technically did that, but also it's for his friend's own good. And then there's like somehow a hint that someone else was behind it, and so then the number that the messages were actually being sent to, that Theo was sending. And so they call it, and guess who's on the other end? It's the butler.
I was not expecting that, honestly.
So they go back to Theo's house, and the butler's like, listen, hear me out. The fact that...
Imagine all the gas.
I know, right? The fact that your father publicly basically disowned his own sister because of some, like, whole entire stuff going on, with all this stuff, and then you went to her daughter's wedding, that's gonna make him very angry, and then you go and say that's because this other guy told you to go, he's gonna do some shit. And so I was trying to protect you both by making you both break up. I'm sorry. Right? I knew at this point that somehow the butler and the aunt were gonna end up together. Dylan's aunt. I was right. Anyways.
I don't think too, like, when I'm reading a book like this, I don't think too much into what's gonna happen. I just let it happen. I'm like, hee.
Same, but for some reason my intuition was like, they're gonna end up together. I just know it.
Your rose senses were tingling.
Yes. So they do, like, a whole fake breakup thing, and then, Dylan goes home, right, and, tells his aunt about everything, well, his whole family about everything, and so, because, like, he blew up in front of them all towards Theo, and that's when she's all like, if I ever see this butler, I will give him a piece of my mind, and that's when I knew something was gonna happen between them. So, not much later, there is some type of, charity gala thing at the Met, right? And
imagine being so rich you just casually go to the Met
I know,
for
right?
an event.
So, Theo fights Dylan. Dylan is
Like,
like,
they're not just celebrities, they're just rich.
I know, right? Dylan's like, hey, I thought we were supposed to be fake broken up. What are you doing? And he's all like, I don't care. I want you there with me. They go together. But guess what? Who's there? Theo's father. Theo's father immediately, starts, clocking that something's up with Dylan. And I don't trust him. He must want my son for his money. That's why he likes my son. There could be no other reason that anyone ever likes my son. Those
Wow.
type of vibes. Everyone else in the family is very much team. Oh my god, Theo and Dylan are here. We love them, right? There's like,
Imagine being like, oh yeah, my son has zero endearing qualities. They just want his money. Like,
yeah.
what?
There's also like this whole thing where he, despite the fact that Theo's a great musician, he won't go let Theo do anything of the sorts. He has to go to law school, and follow his footsteps and all the stuff, right? So he snaps at his father and is like, hey, Dylan doesn't want me for my money. He does not care for my money. And all this stuff. And Dylan's like, yeah, I don't, actually. And all this stuff. I don't remember if this is a point where it's brought up that the reason why he said the whole thing about Dylan being the one to talk him into going to, it's like the whole reason why he went to the wedding, isn't like Dylan actually saying anything. It's because when he was there, he saw all the family photos of Dylan's family, and then he remembered at his father's house, because he doesn't live with his father. He just lives in a random mansion with a butler and nobody else, because his father got remarried and just lives with his new wife and their children and don't care about him. And he only has one photo of his firstborn in that house.
You know, what is with us in reading books and enjoying books about neglected teenagers?
I don't know.
What does that say about us?
That just reminded me of my sister yesterday, playing with Bella, and Bella wanting love and attention, and my sister being like, sorry, I can't give that to you. I was never given it as a child. I don't know what it looks like.
She's not wrong.
Right? So, gala stuff happening. So, Dylan returns home from school one day, and when he returns home, no, before this, there's like this whole thing where they learn, there's this one special ingredient for the mooncake recipe that they have where, they don't have the specific type of sugar or something, that only comes from that specific area of Singapore, and the only way you can get that specific one is if someone flies there, like an 18-hour flight to get it, and then comes all the way back, right? So they decide to do, like, the closest thing they can in a dupe type thing, right? Anyways, cough, Theo overhears this. I think it's because, like, Theo's helping out at the restaurant and whatnot.
Yeah.
Right?
Which
Also around this
I
point,
thought that was all really sweet.
yes, also around this point, it's, like, mentioned that the landlord, like, the aunt with, the money, cough, from Theo, which he did immediately recognize from Theo because of the Clover name thing, right?
Yeah.
She, is all, like, she went to the bank, she made, there's, like, this whole thing where, like, payment plans, blah, 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 everything's gonna be out fine, but the landlord does not care and is gonna evict them anyways.
But,
right? Well, Theo's there. So that's also happening. Okay, so on top of all this shit, so one day, Dylan comes home, from school, and his aunt and Theo's dad are both there, just talking. The aunt does not recognize that this is Theo's dad. And so they're just talking about life stuff, blah, blah, blah. Apparently a lot of the restaurants...
He's so evil. I don't care.
Yeah. Apparently a lot of the restaurants that he would go to when he was, dating Theo's mother, happened to be restaurants that Dylan's aunt worked at, and all this stuff. It's like small world. And then he's like, hey, can your nephew show me, where I can get a paper nearby? Thanks. And then takes him out. Dylan immediately is afraid that all these, bodyguards at his car and whatnot are gonna, like, beat him up and kidnap him. And I'm like,
yeah,
valid.
he's like, oh, I'm getting caught today.
Valid. So, basically, he's all like, okay, I understand you don't want my son's money. I get that, but what you do want is his name and the popularity of being in the papers with him, and then you get to be known as like the immigrant family, small owned business that's dating the like son of this big rich white family, blah blah blah. And all the papers will talk about you, and that's what you want. You want the name, you don't want the money, and you're using that to get farther ahead in life. And Dylan's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Right?
Like, why? No, why is his dad so delusional? Like,
I know,
seriously,
right?
like that's a
I think his
genuine
name's
question.
something like Malcolm or something, and it feels so right. Um, and so he pays him off with $100,000. Imagine just having $100,000 that you could write a check for. I don't.
Imagine having $20. Like
that too. I'm wild, and when that part happened, I literally screamed at you.
Bessie, I was
like,
so
what the fuck?
excited. I was so excited when I had $7 worth of change, but then my mom took 5 of it, so I'm only down to $2 worth of change.
Damn. I hate thieves. Yeah, obviously Dylan's not happy. Theo's dad leaves, and then Dylan calls up Theo. They meet in, like, a random park because he doesn't want anyone in the family knowing about what's happening, right? So he goes to Theo, and he's all like, hey, so guess what? Your dad showed up, was talking to my aunt. Oh, here's another thing. He also, if Dylan doesn't take the money, he will put out in the papers and everywheres that the family put green onions in the food that wasn't supposed to have green onions to Adrian the first time, right? And then
man and his green onions, like
yep, and then they'll be fined, and there will be this whole big thing, and they're all like, "This will ruin our business." Oh my god, hear me out. That happens like all the time at like every restaurant. Like I get that you probably have to pay a fine, but like I feel like the biggest deal, like this is the 21st century this place takes place in. Like in the 2020s, I feel like everyone would recognize, hey, this rich white man is trying to take down this immigrant family with a small owned business. That's kind of suspicious and weird. Right? Like I feel like he wouldn't win, which is where Theo wins. This is how Theo wins eventually. Cause hear me out. So, he brings this all up to Theo, and he's like, yeah, so this is what happened. And he's all like, oh my god, we can still be together, but, like, I will handle this. And he's like, there's nothing you can do, like, even if you try to be with me, he could, like, disown you, and you could lose all your money, and I don't want you to have to choose between me and your life, and everything you've known, and also have to protect my family, like, what if he does something else, like, all this stuff. Also, like, he's a rich white guy, and they're immigrants. Cough, cough.
I love how rational Dylan was being and how unrational Theo was being. Theo was like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah. But he's like, I gotta think of my family, I'm sorry. What the hell are you sending me? Oh, the Fire and Fate? Yeah, that's like a book series. I have the first one on my TBR.
Let's see. Okay.
I have 987 books on my TBR. How do you not have them all memorized?
I don't even have the books on my TBR memorized. God damn, what do you think this is? And I have less than 300.
So,
well, probably less than 300 if I added all the books on there, but.
Okay. So Theo, leaves. They break up officially. Dylan gives back the necklace or bracelet, right? Goes home, super depressed. He explains to his aunt. That
was so sad.
I know, right? He explains to his aunt the basics, like not the money part or anything, but he does say that that Theo's father did threaten their family business if they stayed together, so he had to break up with him and all this stuff. And she's like, I'm gonna fight this white man, right? So she's trying to continue to keep them afloat, money-wise, right? And he's doing the mooncakes, but also skipping school because he's too depressed to go to school, right? Uh-huh.
I told Jerica to read it, and she read it, and she gave it 4 stars, so.
Yes, I saw that, yes. I was like, why the hell did Jerica read this?
We all rated it 4 stars, basically.
I love that for us. Basically, there is a storm. It causes a flood in the restaurant. God, these people cannot get a break. Am I
I
right?
know. I'm like, damn, they really can't catch a break. Everyone's out to get them.
Yeah, no. So, basically, a tree is knocked down, and it breaks through the front door, the glass door thing, right? And so all the water's rushing in. The basement with all their like food supplies completely ruined. Like the basement's completely flooded, which is thousands of dollars of supplies, right? And then all the furniture is ruined. She's all like, well, I guess I wanted to replace the furniture anyways, so it's not that big of a deal, right? They barely managed to like grab all the money in the cash register, all the mooncake stuff, and or some of the mooncake stuff, and family pictures, and go back upstairs and hide upstairs, right? There's also like a thing where like right before the book starts, there was a break-in and someone stole like $500.
Yeah.
God.
So they were.
So next day is the competition. And among the things ruined is all the ingredients for the mooncakes, but also the presentation stuff for the mooncakes, like the shape thing that they were gonna have for it. He was managed to save, and it says remembrance on it in Chinese. I think it's Chinese. For his mother, right? Because he's doing the competition.
A language we don't know.
Yeah. And so, because like the woman he bought it from said that she really remembered his mother from the year before and really liked her because she spoke Cantonese to her. So I don't know specifics, but it's something along those lines. And so,
Yeah, no,
but it means remembrance, and it's in remembrance of his mother, right? So that part survived, but not the like making dice presentation stuff around it. Survived. And so he's all like, well, what's the point? And so, basically they're cleaning out all the water with, like, buckets. And whatnot. They don't have flooding insurance. All
Also,
this stuff
they're not even in a flood zone. That's the whole thing. They're like, we're not even in a flood zone.
Yeah, that's why they don't have flood insurance. And so, but then, sister of the bride from the wedding, right?
I'm pretty sure her name is Tina, right?
I think so. I don't fucking know. Theo's cousin shows up, and she's like, hey, I'm here to take you to the competition. And he's like, I don't even have ingredients. And she's like, too bad. We'll go pick them up. We're going to the goddamn competition. She gets him there, in time. They do talk about some more of the stuff about how, when she was in rehab, Theo was the only one who didn't remind her of, like, immediately getting better. And, like, everyone was all like, are you still sick? Are you getting better yet? Blah, blah, blah. He was the only one who would just sit there and play Monopoly with her. I love this.
Like,
man.
it's not that difficult. Like,
I know, right? You would imagine, but the way this mother character is, right? So, he gets there. The host of the competition is this famous, celebrity chef, right? And she happens to know him because, like, some family connections, blah, 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 right? So,
every people.
so they're just chatting. They manage to get there in time, and the aunt can't be his co-chef because she has to take care of the restaurant and the flooding and all that stuff, right? And they're like, we'll be there in time for the judging, but, like, we can't be there to help you. But guess who is there to be his co-chef? It's Theo. And guess what he has? He has the special sugar stuff from Singapore, from his own grandmother, from Dylan's grandmother's back here. He flew 18 hours there and then immediately 18 hours back.
Pause.
To get this special sugar for him.
He got this special sugar, and then he also got butterfly pea flowers specifically from his grandma.
Yep.
But also because of how the days worked out, Theo missed his own fucking birthday. His 18th birthday.
So, they do the competition stuff. Yay. Everyone's talking afterwards. Yay.
Get you a man who flies halfway across the world and back and misses his own birthday and meets your grandparents to get you a special ingredient for a competition. Like, oh my god. Like,
long story short, Dylan wins. The end. It was him against.
Long story short, the bar is in hell.
I know, right? So after that, like, they're still at the, like, celebratory thing for the competition, right? And the butler took a recording, a bunch of recordings of Theo, like, getting there and talking to, Dylan's grandmother and them hanging out and her being really nice to him and loving him and being, like, his grandparents, talking about how, like, his grandmother always likes to say, find a man who would fly to the moon for you, and then looking to Theo and be like, that's good enough, that's close enough. And then the grandfather being like, I never flew to the moon, and she's like, no, but you biked 2 miles to get to me, or something like that, to me every day. And he's like, yeah, I know, my mom wanted me to date a neighbor instead. And they're just being cute, and, like, accepting Theo, and whatnot.
If he wanted to, he would. Like,
I know, and it's so cute. Also, the aunt is there, because, like, they all showed up for the, like, presentation and who won stuff, right? And she's like, fuck this butler for trying to fuck up my nephew's life. Like, I'm gonna beat him up. I don't think she would actually beat him up, but she'd definitely tell him off, right?
Yeah.
Right? And he's all like,
Listen,
I'm so sorry.
I know.
He's like, I'm so sorry. I recognize where I was in the wrong. There's a cute little, like, 5 seconds of flirtation. Right? Right. All this stuff. And then, guess who shows up? It's Theo's dad. He eats mooncake. He likes the mooncake. And then he, tells his son, hey, or while he's eating the mooncake, Dylan's all like, hey, I don't give a fuck what you think. I love your, or, no, I don't think he says I love, but, like, your son is important to me, and, you should care about what your son wants, but apparently I'm the only one here that does. Something along those lines. Right? And Theo's all like, hey, Dad, guess what? I never felt like you wanted me, because you never cared about me, and you pretended that I didn't exist after Mom died. Also, there's, like, this whole other thing that I forgot to bring up that was brought up at one point, where, when his mom died, she was on the way to pick him up from kindergarten, right?
Oh my god.
When she was hit. And his dad immediately went to the hospital and just forgot about him. It wasn't until hours later when someone went, oh, we should pick up this child? I assume the school called him, and then someone who worked for the family went and picked up the child, and that's how he learned that his mother died. And all this stuff. Right? So you can see where his feelings of abandonment from his father comes from. I don't know.
As someone who has been left at school until nearly 6 o'clock before, it's traumatizing.
Yeah.
On multiple occasions.
So he's all like, hey.
So, like, one time when someone that worked at the school had to take me home.
You know, I'm surprised no one from the school, like, called sooner. And whatnot. So he's all like, hey, Dad, you never loved me, and the whole reason why I love Dylan's family so much and being with them so much and why we're so great together is because he shows me the affection you never showed me. I've felt more part of their family in, like, a week than I ever felt in yours and all this stuff. There's also this whole thing where he says, don't worry about my dad trying to blackmail you into not being in a relationship with me, because I brought up the fact that, like, hey, if you do this, then I'll just tell all the gossip people that you are trying to take down family owned immigrant family business for no reason that you have no right to do, and it will make you look really bad in the papers, and so that's why his father boxed out on that. But yeah, so he's like, Dad, you're a bad dad. And his dad's all like, whoops, I'm sorry. I secretly loved you all the time. I just had no way of showing this to you because I'm a bad dad. Anyways, here's $100,000 anyways. Right?
Like, apparently, right? I don't fucking know.
I don't know. And then he's also like, listen, I've heard you play music. You're really good. There's only 10 people a year who get into Juilliard. You better fucking get in. And I'm just like, what the fuck? And then he's like, happy belated birthday, and that's when Dylan learns that it was Theo's birthday the day before. And he basically missed his birthday doing the whole Singapore trip, right? So, what happens after that? The aunt's like, now we can fix the restaurant. And she's like, Theo's the one that comes up with the idea, and he's like, actually, no, and goes to the place where, Dylan showed him, which is, his aunt's dream location of, like, an actual sit-down restaurant, right? And so, they go there, and, she's all like, but what about, like, the current restaurant? Like, all the flooding, we gotta repair all the stuff, and all this stuff. And Mr. Butler guy is like, actually, I talked to all the people, and all the people, your landlord is the one who has to pay for the flooding, not you, according to all this paperwork, and all this stuff. So technically the only thing you have to replace is the stuff that you bought. The end.
Yeah.
Right? And so she's like, well, I don't want to use up your money, like, you should put it towards school, to do this. And he's like, no, you're my family, you took me in after mom died, I'm doing this for you. Also, there is an apartment above this place as well that has 3 bedrooms instead of 2. So Dylan gets his own room, and the aunt gets her own room, and then the siblings share a room with a divider in between, right? So then she starts sobbing, and the butler gives her a handkerchief to cry in, and I was like, I knew it! I knew it! Anyways, Theo and him kiss again, I'm pretty sure. And then, there's an epilogue. They're happy. The end.
Valid.
Moral of the story: stay happy together. And I almost cried.
They're gay and they're happy and they're gay. Either way, they're gay.
They both are grieving their mothers.
Either way, they're gay.
They're gay. Also, Adrian is not allowed at their wedding. Thank you very much.
We are in Adrian's walls.
We're always in a hate club for
cut him
one
off,
character.
I will.
We always hate one character in a book, and this time it's Adrian, and also Theo's dad.
Fuck Adrian. I don't know what his last name is, so we can't. It's not
right?
the same.
For some reason, I just remembered the part where Theo's dad trying to pay him off with $100,000 just reminded me of the first episode of the Sherlock Holmes show, where he tries to pay John into basically watching Sherlock and giving him information on Sherlock. And when he comes home afterwards, he's like, hey, Sherlock, this happened. He's like, oh yeah, my brother, you should have totally taken him up on the deal, and then we could have shared the money. For some reason, I just remembered that. That made me laugh. Anyways, I did make a Star Wars reference.
Oh my god.
You should be very proud of me.
I'm not. Unfortunately, not right this second. Not because I'm not.
Do you have any other thoughts about this book?
Good. Good book.
I can pick the gay ones, apparently.
Book good. Good book. Gay
That's
book. Book gay.
Book gay? I'm definitely leaving it off on book gay, in case people didn't gather that the book gay. The book is gay.